This video is being brought to you by PROPS.CASH, one of the best research tools in the business. It's a tool that I use on my videos that you see I've been using for over a year, and it's helped me a lot with picking props. Link is down in the description. Get 25% off your first month. Indiana versus the Knicks. Game 1. Second round of the playoffs. Jalen Brunson's been on fire. His prop for points is 35.5. He's went over that 4 straight times. He's averaging 40-something. This is game 2. This is game 1 of the second round. Indiana can possibly steal this one in New York. Indiana's going to be playing loose. Brunson has to score for them to win, but to keep going over 35 points per game, we're asking a lot. This year versus Indiana, last 2 games, 2-1, 2-10, he had 40 and 39. That's a lot more than 35. So, I still have to lean toward the over kind of on his 35.5 points. He's playing at a very, very high level now. And he has to score for them to win. He has to. And you still have to consider the over. He's basically a -120 favorite to go under. Let's see what it looks like out there on the live odds for Brunson. Let's refresh that, see what we get. So pretty much on the live odds, he's, slight favorite to go over at Caesars, -133, -115 to go over, -115 to go under at BetMGM. DraftKings got him -110 to go under, -110 to go over. So the books don't really have it going either way, except for Caesars. Can't count out his over on this one, even though it's a high number, you got to consider him for the over on this one. See what else is going on here with the player props. Toppin, former Knick, plays with Indiana now. Line is 9.5. Projection 13.06. He has a 4-game streak of going over. 9.5 versus the Knicks. 2 games versus the Knicks. 12 and 2-1, 9 on 210. So let's look at this year. Let's go to the last 10 games. So the 2 previous playoff games were all his playoff games this year, looks like, except the first one. Well, the first 2 he didn't go over 9.5, but the last 4 he did. 15, 13, 12, 21 in the last game. That's a huge game. Score did get out of control there for a minute, so he might have got a few more minutes than he usually gets. He actually got 24 minutes in that game, 22 prior, 16 prior to that, 17 prior to that. So 16.5 minutes. He still went over the 9.5. Playing against his old team, he's going to be motivated. You have to look at the over. Let's look at him out here on the live odds. Slight favorite to go under it at BetMGM. Caesars -120, -123 to go under 9.5. You gotta look at that over. Again, like I say, his former team, he's going to be motivated to play, and he may make the best of his opportunities. All comes down to minutes with Toppin. All comes down to minutes. So whatever Carlisle's is going to do is going to determine if he goes over or under this 9.5. Let's look at some other props out here. Let's look at the It's hard to say what the second option is in New York right now. It's not, Josh Hart does a little bit of everything, but it may be Dante, the second option in New York. His prop is 15.5. Projection 16.32. He went over that in his last game. Some games prior to that, you can see he had 9, 8, 5. Let's look at versus Indiana this year. Versus Indiana, he had 38 one game, 20. The others he went under. It just depends on how this game is going to go. When I think about this, is he going to get some early looks and see some baskets go in? If he does, he goes over to 15.5. Pretty decent favorite, minus 125 to go over. Let's look at the live odds. The book's a little mixed on this one. BetMGM got him a slight favorite to go under. Caesars got him a slight favorite to go over. And so does DraftKings. Again, I think it comes down to how he does early. If he sees some baskets go in, I think he goes over. If he doesn't, he's going to struggle probably. But this number is very achievable for him in a playoff game versus Indiana. And versus Indiana this year, again, 2 out of the 5 games he went over 15.5. Some pretty big games. A big game in Indiana where he had 38. Another one at home he had 20. The last one on 210 he had 14. Let's look at the number one option for Indiana, and that's going to be Tyrese Halliburton. 17.5 points is the prop. Projection 19.3. Look at the live odds out here for Tyrese. 17.5. Decent favorite to go under at BetMGM, Caesars, and DraftKings. 120, 127, 112, respectively, to go under. Let's look at him a little bit closer. First, New York, he's went over one time on the road, one time at home. He had 22 in each of those games. His last 10, last game, closeout game versus Milwaukee had 17. Game prior, 16. The 2 games for that, 24 and 18. Let's look at his assist. He's the assist dude. So let's see what his assist prop are. 9.5 is the prop. Projection 8.71. Let's see what he's done against New York with assists. 3 out of 5 games he went over. One game he had 10. One game he had 23. That's a huge game right there. Another he had 12. His last 10, 6, 4. First 2 games against, second and third game against Milwaukee at 12 and 16. He had 8 in the first game. Again, it's what's going on in the game. Is he's going to come out and be aggressive and be a scorer, or is he going to get everybody else involved? I think they play loose tonight, which means Tyrese is not going to be super aggressive, trying to score a lot of points unless he's open. He likes to get everybody else involved. May not be a bad prop to look at. 9.5 assists. Let's see, is this number changing anywhere? Player assist. 9.5 in most places. 9.5 everywhere. So no one has really came off this line. Slight favorite to go under at Caesars and MGM. Also, DraftKings and FanDuel, slight favorite to go under at this point. None of the parlay sites have changed the line, and everybody's leaving it at 9.5 for right now. So again, I think it depends on game script and what's going to go on in the game. Let's look at going back to points, and we're going to look at Miles Turner, who's been balling. Prop 16.5, projection 16.45. Let's look at how he finished out that against New York this year in 4 games. He's had 23-5, 28-6. Let's look at his last 10, which shows us the playoffs. Last game versus Milwaukee, 5. Game prior to that, 13. But prior to that, the 4 games prior to that, he was balling in the playoffs. 17, 22, 29, 29. That is very, very good. But as you can see, he fell off in the last 2 games. Does that continue? Let's look at Turner out here. Look at Turner. $17.5 is the line. You can see FanDuel has it 16.5. Decent favorite, -125 to go under over here on BetMGM. Bettors pushed it down to 16.5. Dabbles pushed it down to 17. And everybody else has left it at 17.5, which kind of tell you the books kind of may like the under on this 17.5. So it may not be a bad under pick at 17.5. Again, as you see, last 2 games, he kind of fell off 13-5. I mean, that indication to me, I don't like it too well. I think he may be more aggressive in trying to score tonight because he only scored 13-5 points in the last 2 games. And this NBA player who's very prideful, who's always trying to get paid, is going to try to get those numbers up, regardless if this is a playoff game. So, something to look into, something to think about. Maybe want to look at Miles Turner going over. Books got him tending to go under. I'm gonna watch this line close and see which way the other sports books go on it, throughout the day. Let's go over here. One of my favorite categories, rebounds plus assist. And Nembhard, who's a very solid player for Indiana, hits the boards, does a little bit of everything for him. His prop is 6.5. Projection is 8. He's went over in 5 straight games. And if you look at his last 10, he's went over, 8 out of 10. All playoff games except the first one, he's went over 6.5 rebounds plus assist. Let's look out here on the live odds. We do some rebounds plus assists. And we'll pull up Andrew. 6.5, -150 to go over at BetMGM, -142 to go over at Caesars. Heavy favorite. 6.5 is available on Sleepers, Flip, and Parlay Play. Definitely, you should, if you're playing the prop websites, Parlay Play, Sleeper. Look at Andrew Nembhard at 6.5. He may be a player you really want to target for the parlay sites right now. Prize Picks has nothing listed right now. Underdog has pushed it up to 7, so that lets you know what they think. Better doesn't have it listed right now, and Dabble's pushed it up to 7. So Andrew Nimhard, player rebounds plus assist over 6.5. Something you strongly have to look at getting into your parlays tonight. All right, those are a few plays that I like. We'll be back with the next playoff game, but this is what I like for New York versus Indiana. Game 1, second round. Let's go.